Hi again, everyone. Pastor Brandon here. Thanks for tuning in to this next video in our Take Care series as we're providing resources for people, helping them to navigate life in a coronavirus world and bringing local voices from perspective that they're gaining as they're working with things in different areas. And we're thankful to have with us in this episode, Janice Zimmerman. Janice is a school social worker, a licensed clinical social worker at Warren Township High School, District 121 here in Gurnee. Janice, thanks for taking the time to talk with us today.
Of course. Thanks, Pastor Brandon. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here.
Well, it has certainly been challenging enough for us as adults to wrap our minds around everything going on with COVID-19, but for teenagers, this has got to be creating just a whole different set of challenges for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you think about teenagers and adolescents and you think about the significance of transitions and how big and how many transitions they're going through right now in this day and age. And then now we're throwing upon them, let's strip your schedule away. Let's take you out of your normal environment. Let's put the fear of a pandemic in your head. Let's take away the most foundational aspect of your identity, which is friendships. Friendships at this stage is so huge. And outside of Christ, friendship is where people are finding significance. More so than family at this age. And so we've taken all of that away and we've said, figure it out. It's a really, really tough time for adolescents right now.
So as you're working with adolescents, are there any specific issues that you're seeing emerge more strongly than ever that the COVID-19 outbreak has really been a trigger or catalyst in?
Yeah. At first, I think when this COVID-19 outbreak happened and quarantine happened, I think a lot of teens approached it as something temporary. And that's how it was presented to everybody, even as adults. You know, it was going to be this 2-3 week window, and then life would hopefully resume. When we received the other news that this would be extended and COVID-19 is really what we now are seeing, that it's huge and it's life-changing. What teens are experiencing is grief and trauma, and they're grieving the loss of friendships. They're grieving the loss of their normalcy. They're grieving. Some are grieving loss of celebrations. Some are grieving loss of milestones. But this grief is manifesting itself in what parents are saying is a lack of motivation. And so the primary concern that I hear about from parents for students that I meet with is this lack of motivation. Susie will not get out of bed. Susie will not do what she's supposed to do. All she has to do is log onto her computer, and it's a battle every morning. Yeah, it is, because grief needs time. And if a student has not spent time practicing self-awareness, practicing self-monitoring, and even recognizing that they may be grieving, then what space and what time have they devoted to really start to reconcile those feelings of grief? I think that avoidance, I think that low energy, I think the helplessness, all of those pieces, yes, falls under the umbrella of anxiety, falls under some depression-like symptoms, but it really is the overarching principle I think that's happening is grief and trauma.
So let's pick up on that a little bit, because certainly it's challenging for parents and other adults that are involved in teenagers' lives to find an entry point to engage in conversation and discussion with their teenagers. So I guess whether it's precipitated by this crisis or whether it's anything else, what are some tips that you can share with people about how to talk with teenagers when it comes to these huge issues?
I should write a book, How to Talk to Teenagers. How to talk to teenagers. The number one thing, same thing you would want, empathy. There's this approach of us wanting to fix things, of us wanting to come in and say, here's what you're going to do, X, Y, and Z, life is going to be great. Even me as a social worker, I have to fight this temptation to give the solution. I want to help the student figure it out. So they come up with a solution that's viable for them. But my main role is to listen and empathize and acknowledge what they're feeling is normal. It's valid. It's okay. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to not have motivation. And you know what? It's okay to be fine. And it's okay to have all of those feelings in the middle of one moment that you are feeling all of this. And so I think if we lead with empathy, we're going to get trust built a little bit faster with our child, with our teen. The other thing I really want to encourage parents right now is controlling your own anxiety. Teenagers, everyone, even pets, pick up on how you're feeling, right? But teenagers are never going to talk to you about how they're feeling if somehow they recognize that you're out of control, that you're angry, that you're anxious, that you are upset. They don't want to be a burden. They don't want to add on to that and be another thing that adds to your anxiety. Teenagers are not your friends, and you know that. Parents need to parent, and teens need to be children still. And I think sometimes they act as adults, and that relationship can become reciprocal to the point where they become the confidant for parents, and it's not healthy. Because teens don't know what to do with that, so they take care of your emotions instead of taking care of their own. But I think if we move forward with acknowledging grief, encouraging them to take time to process that grief, and then encouraging them to figure out what their coping skill is going to be. Are you going to start journaling letters to yourself, how you felt during this time of COVID-19 and this time of quarantine? What can we do to take some control? It's okay to be angry. What's the best way to handle that anger right now? Do you want to go for a run? Do you want to use the punching bag downstairs? Do you want to go listen to loud music for a half an hour in your room? Take time, take care of what you need to do to manage those emotions in a healthy way. I think those would be some really strategic things to do and to help a student. Students are feeling helpless. So maybe an idea would be, as they're talking about, I feel helpless, I feel out of control, asking them, what's one thing that would make you feel safer? What's the one thing I can do to help you feel more in control? Asking those type of open-ended questions to teens. And then if they're like, I don't know, well, think about it. I'll follow up later. Then following up later and having that conversation, I think it's really strategic, and it goes a long way to building that relationship.
Are there any things you can think of that would maybe seem helpful at first glance, but are actually counterproductive to do in the long run?
Yeah. That's yeah, there are a few things. One is, I think right now, oh, God bless the homeschool teachers, um, expecting them to do more during this time because they have so much time is unrealistic. And it's creating conflict in homes. It's creating a battle of, you're telling me what to do. I know what I'm doing. I'm independent to get my work done. You don't understand. And there's this miscommunication like passing ships. Um, we need to expect them to have moments of productivity just like we do, and moments when they are not productive at all. And their Netflix binge is their time to kind of sit and process, and that's okay. Um, I really, really don't like the phrase, you're just being lazy. Ouch. We say things sometimes thinking that we're helpful, or sometimes we say things out of anger and anxiety because we're worried, we don't know what to say. And so words like that, you're just being lazy, you fine, fail, fine, fail, you're gonna fail, you're gonna fail. This negative message that we lead with is so destructive because what a student is hearing, what a teenager is hearing, my mom thinks I'm lazy and not worth it. My dad wants me to do more, and if I don't do more, I'm not good enough for him. You didn't say that, nor did you mean that. But that's kind of the translation that goes on in the negative script. If we could give them their replacement thoughts, if we could give them their positive script about themselves, you know what? I know this time is hard. You know what, Brandon? I think you're doing an amazing job putting your schedule together. Hey, what you did for your sister, that was really awesome. Thank you for that. Put positive messages in there, praise them for even something that you think is small and they should do anyway. It's going to go a really long way. And then that final thing, I sort of just hit on it. Parents who are anxious, who are worried, who are angry themselves about what's happening right now. We don't know what's happening. It puts us in a place of fear. And when we're afraid, sometimes we lose control of our emotions and we yell or we scold or we lecture. Come on, remember your teenage lectures? No, we didn't like them. And we're trying to be helpful, but we're trying to communicate. Put your own emotions in check. Process your own emotions before you try and have a conversation about emotions with your teen.
Janice, as we start wrapping up our conversation here, are there any other tools that you can help put in the parental toolbox here? It's an unideal situation that we're all navigating, but what can we encourage parents who, as you've highlighted, are dealing with our own set of issues, but as we're trying to do the work of parenting the best we can right now, other tips, other insights you can share, anything else on your mind here before we wrap up?
Yeah, lead with empathy, validating feelings. If there's a celebration that you had coming up, maybe you have an eighth grader who's graduating, a senior who's graduating, some sort of performance or sporting event that was supposed to happen, plan an alternative. And not you just plan it. Ask the student, ask the teen. I keep saying student because I work in a school. Ask your teen what they would like in terms of celebrating. And at first they might go, nothing, it's fine. Well, no, I want you to think about it. We want to celebrate you. You can help us craft it if you want. If they come up with an idea of something to do as a family or with you, do it. Let's write cards. Let's draw pictures. Let's play karaoke. Let's all do a TikTok together. Maybe not TikTok because that app is kind of questionable, but if you could do on Zoom even a little funny music video and do something like that, that would be really, really fun. And if your teen wants to do something creative and spend family time, I'd embrace it. In terms of the academics, a schedule would be helpful. Your teen could be super organized, but it's hard. It's hard to take 8 classes and shove them into a schedule on your own and figure out what I need to do and when I need to do it by. So putting a schedule in place that doesn't have them working 9 to 3, that's silly. No, it has them working for a couple of hours. They take a break. They do something that would be strategic. And then God bless technology. Technology is awesome. Encourage your teens to use technology wisely. Encourage them to connect via Zoom or Google Meet or FaceTime or whatever with their friends, but unplug for 30 to 60 minutes a day strategically for your teen to go outside. They need to go outside. One, they need to go outside and realize they're safe outside, that COVID-19 exists, but I have a lot of kids who are struggling with this fear of going outside and getting infected. 2, they need the physical exercise and hopefully sunshine soon. So that would be really helpful. And then finally, tap into their desire to help others. If we could do anything, right, there's this helplessness. And so a teenager, this generation is one of the kindest generations coming up, believe it or not, in my years of working with teens. And they want to help other people. So maybe they want to write a card to a friend. Maybe they want to purchase some food to donate to the food bank. Maybe, I don't know, something helpful would help them feel more in control. And then they're serving someone else.
Janice, thank you so much for sharing that. This has been fantastic and really appreciate the insights that you've shared. And I'm sure that people watching will be able to take these things and put them into practice and hopefully to experience God's best for them during this challenging time. So thanks again for taking the time to be with us today.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. Anything you guys need, just let me know.
And we'd invite you to check out some of the other videos that we're providing in this series. Also, invite you to log on to our church's website where we have additional resources related not just to this topic, but to other topics, including what Janice just touched on a minute ago, ways that people can serve. There are so many things that teenagers and adults and even kids can do that even right from their home that will give them an opportunity to make a contribution in people's lives during this challenging time. So thanks for taking this last few minutes to watch this video with us. For Janice, I'm Brandon. Thanks again for watching. Take care, everybody.